Here are the instructions for the Civic Engagement Project. This is outside of class and is worth 80 points. Assignment Overview. One of the goals of my UF 200 class is to examine the meaning of the phrase, how are people actively combating inequality within their community and the world to provide safety and justice for oppressed populations. You can do this by direct interactions with others and taking a look at one's role within the world. By actively participating through this assignment, you will study ethical and civic issues in your own community. You must choose an agency, event that is helping an oppressed human population, not an animal shelter or climate change. I can't stress this enough. You must look at an agency or a policy that is helping a human population that experiences oppression. The activities for this assignment must be an out-of-classroom experience. It will probably take you between 4 to 6 hours in total, including or not including making your project file. This experience should be one that you would not normally take part in, so if you already work at the food bank, you must do something different. If you have questions, please ask me about your chosen activity. The requirements. 1. Complete an out-of-classroom activity and take a photo of yourself at that activity. 2. Answer the underlying goal of your chosen activity. 3. Answer all of the required prompts. See the prompts below the list of activities. Using a project file for all of your answers. That is not a paper, but instead uses mostly images and minimal text to illustrate your answers. Activities. Activity 1. Out of classroom civic engagement activities, choose one activity. Be sure to take photos of yourself somewhere at this activity and of your activity if possible. If necessary, take photos outside of the building or event. Be sure to document the goal of the activity as well as the required content while you are at the activity. Keep some notes. Remember what the instructions say. Activity 1. Visit a local community resource or agency. See a separate list. It does not have to be one of the agencies on the list. This list should provide resources to reduce the impact of a human rights violation on a specific oppressed population. Take photos where possible. You must talk to someone at this organization about why, what, and how they provide resources and get some written information such as a brochure. The goal is to get information about a local resource in your community that addresses the oppression of a specific population. You must get this information from a person who works there and describe the agency's mission and the services they provide. Activity 2. Attend a local community event that provides information about human rights violations, like a rally or a movie or a fundraiser, etc. Take photos where possible, get brochures, and take notes. Then, describe your experience to someone else, a relative, a friend, a coworker, a roommate, and find out how your story affects them. The goal is to gain information from an event that provides information about the oppression of a specific human population that exists in your local community. You must then provide that information to another person and get feedback from that person. Number 3, volunteer at a local community resource or agency that provides resources to reduce the impact of a human rights violation on a specific oppressed population experiencing human rights violations. Take photos where possible. Your activity, that is volunteering at this agency, must last at least 1 to 2 hours. The goal is to get information about a local resource in your community, and by volunteering, build your understanding of an ethical issue, which is the oppression of a specific population that is addressed by that agency. Number 4, visit a local church that you do not know anything about. You do not have to attend a church service, but you might find that attending a service is the best way to describe what happens there. Take photos where possible. The goal is to learn about a religious community that is new to you and find out what resources that church provides for people in the community. Talk to someone who attends or works at that church with the goal of obtaining the following information: the religious beliefs of this church, the demographic of who attends this church, ages, male, female, families, individuals, couples, possible races, languages spoken, able-bodied, or needing an assistance, how their church worship services are presented and by whom. Find out what resources the church provides to people in the community who are in need, or to reduce the impact of a human rights violation. This might be events, education, money, shelters, food, etc. Does the church also provide global help? Number 5. Do some research about laws, policies, and resources that work to provide safety to any one population that experiences human rights violations by contacting someone in local or state government or by visiting City Hall or the state capitol in your local community. Take photos where possible. You can start your research online, but you must speak to someone, provide their name and title, who is in the local government to complete your research. The goal is to find out what types of resources or laws are allocated to address an ethical issue, the oppression of a specific human population experiencing human rights violations in your local community, city, or state. Make a list of the resources, policies, and/or laws by title and provide a summary of each. Number 6, propose another activity and goal to your instructor. You must have the permission of the instructor to complete an activity that does not belong to one of the 5 activities listed above. Remember, you must be studying a human population that is being oppressed. Required content. Choose one type of file, PowerPoint, Prezi, mind map, or video. Before you begin your activity, consider the following prompts. You will need to answer all of these as well as the underlying goal for your chosen activity. Please note, this is not a written paper. I have listed the minimum number of slides necessary to complete each prompt. Suggestion: label your PowerPoint slides or your Prezi bubbles or your mind map bubbles with each of the required prompts listed below, and then fill them in with the images and text that answer that prompt. I'm sorry, the prompts are not listed below. Actually, the prompts are listed below. Here they go. Here they are. Required content. Introduction. Describe what activity you chose and why you chose it. Why was this activity meaningful for you? You must include proof of your participation by providing at least one photo of yourself engaged in the activity or outside the building if you can't take photos of the activity or people. 2 or more slides. Describe what you hope to learn from this experience before you completed it. Describe how the activity met the underlying goal. See the underlying portion of your chosen activity. 2 or more slides. Describe your actual experience in completing this project, including your actions and the reactions of people, if applicable, whom you met during this experience. Describe the setting, location, and who was there. 3 slides. What oppressed population in the community was addressed by the activity or agency or church you chose? If you visited a church, what oppressed population do they serve in the community? Do not discuss the religious group whose church you visited as the oppressed population. Discuss what they do to help an oppressed population. So, what is the ethical issue and what population is being oppressed? 1 or more slides. Describe the facts or information you gained from conversations that took place at the event that are about that population. 1 or more slides. List the article or articles from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that you believe are being violated. 1 or more slides. You do not need to list the text of those articles, but just summarize them. Show how this ethical issue, the oppression of a specific population, also exists at a global level. If you visited a church, what oppressed populations do they serve in their community? Find 2 sources that discuss this issue at a global level. That should be 2 or more slides. Include a mostly image and a text summary of each of your resources. Include citations, not just links, for the 2 sources you found. 1 slide at the end, or right after you list the 2 global sources. Describe how this project helped you relate to your own sense of understanding about issues in your community. 1 or more slides. Describe the following: how your understanding of your own cultural identity and your sense of power or lack of power impacts your perspective about this experience. 1 or more slides. Tell us how your chosen career or major might change your sense of power or lack of power. 1 or more slides. Describe the following about your responsibility to the community. What is your responsibility to the community? 1 or more slides. Which ethical framework may drive you to take on this responsibility? Right versus right, utilitarian, fairness, or justice, common good, rights approach, virtue approach, or whatever other ethical framework that you might enjoy. 1 or more slides. How might you take action to remediate or reduce the impact of human rights violations over the course of your time as a student? How will you take action as a working citizen? Those each take 1 or more slides. Turning in this assignment, choose one of these possible methods to answer all the questions in the required content and the underlying goals, and to illustrate your civic engagement project. Remember, this must not be a paper. Create a PowerPoint or Prezi. Your PowerPoint or Prezi must depict what you learned from your experience using all of the required content listed above, as well as the goals that are underlined. You must have a minimum of 20 slides in PowerPoint or 20 bubbles in Prezi, but there is no maximum. Use slides as illustrations with images, not as a place to dump information via text, so no paragraphs. You may have 1 to 2 very short, incomplete sentences per slide, or less. If necessary, you may use the notes section of each slide in PowerPoint to explain that slide, but your slides should also illustrate in images and minimal text the point you were making in the notes. Think about books for children. They are mostly pictures that tell a story. Your PowerPoint or Prezi should tell the story that is illustrated by the slides. The slides must be well organized according to the required content. Make a video or film of your experience. Speak about your experience in a way that describes what you learned, answering all of the required content listed above, including the goal of your activity. You must include at least 20 photos, pictures, or illustrations or film clips of your activity in your video. You may also appear narrating the video, but this cannot be the entire video. You will lose points. The video must be well organized according to the required content. Make a mind map of your experience. This must describe what you learned from your experience using all of the prompts listed above. You should have a minimum of 20 boxes and there is no maximum. Your mind map should have minimal text and mostly use illustrations, photos, or pictures of what you learned. Your map can have audio or music. Be creative. You might have more than one map for this assignment. Make it a journey, not just a statement. Here is a tutorial from iMap. You can use any program you are familiar with or are interested in learning about. The map must be well organized according to the required content. This assignment will be graded based on the rubric provided in the instructions. As a note, you should realize that you are not presenting this to your class. You are not having to present it to any audience. On the other hand, if you are planning to present this to an audience, a PowerPoint or a Prezi that has mostly images, while you talk about what is illustrated in those images, is a really good way to give people information without just reading everything off of the slides. I learned that from a book called Presentation Zen, which we had to read when I was working for UF 100.